Hey, good morning. The first thing I want people to notice about the Feather-Raft is when I tighten this thing down, I look at the corner to see if I'm compressing the foam. This foam can take like 25 pounds per square inch, and again, this raft only weighs like 70 pounds or so you do not have to crank it down. It's not like the load's gonna shift much, nor is it going to bust these straps and fly away. So as long as it's snug, no slack in the line so that your hooks don't come undone or anything like that, then you should be fine. Again, you can see it's pretty snug. I'm not gonna get my finger through there, and this thing's not gonna wiggle out. So don't crush the corners, but get it snug, get all the slack out of the line, have it tight enough to where, you know, some vibration in the drive is not going to loosen the load. You may even want to check the load every now and then and make sure your straps are snug, not crunching tight. All right, go have some fun in the water. Here we are today at New Hogan Lake, day use area. You can see the rocks block us from getting all the way down to the water, so we're gonna unload by hand, which is typical. That's why I got a feather raft. Hello, I'm Elias Ruiz, founder of Coalface Creations and manufacturer of the Feather-Raft. Right here we have a Bass Brigade private labeled raft. We're doing a collaboration right now. So I'm going to show you how I typically set this up for the river or water, lake or river, and just give you some tips. I've been using one of these for several years, so I'm going to let you know what I do to make it work. First of all, grab it. I just slide it up to a point where I can put my hand underneath one side of it. And then there's also a safety line on here, which kind of helps it from getting away from you. So I'll rock it towards me. I'll make sure my hand's in the middle of the raft. The weight's going to be on my hand, and then I just balance it on my shoulder. But I hold the safety line too, just in case it's windy or something, so it doesn't get away from you. So again, I'm going to rock it up. Rock the weight over to your hand. Technically, I usually just put it on my shoulder like this, and the weight right on my forearm, so that I can carry it with one hand if I need to. Again, the raft is not that heavy. You can see sometimes you got to get used to the load, but if you're used to the balancing this thing, again, it's not something difficult to carry. It maybe looks bulky, but again, weighs about 70 pounds. I don't carry it like that with all the weight on one hand, but you could if you wanted to, right? Oh, here goes. Here's what I do. Again, just in case it gets windy, I hold the safety line, but you don't have to. The back of the raft is where the Coast Guard exemption label's at, and I put that part facing away from the bank. I get down close to the water. I usually shift the load to my hand, set it down, and release it so that it doesn't go anywhere. I'll usually put the battery up on the deck just to hold it in place so I can load the rest of the stuff on here.
What would happen if you just threw it in the water?
I don't know if you can see that out there. But if you can't, I'll show you the video that I got of that. It was pretty funny.
No! That's why you don't throw it in the water.
So here I have the motor mount, removable motor mount, and a bucket that I'm going to sit on. I always bring a paddle just in case too, so this is the paddle that comes with it if you buy it as a package. It's a 96-inch two-part paddle that connects together so you can break it down and put it in your vehicle easily. So these three things is what I generally take next.
And that's included with the raft?
There's a package deal where you can get the raft currently we have a package deal at bassbrigade.com where you get the paddle, the motor mount, and the bucket lid. And then I've got my anchor and the bucket. I'll take all that down next. What I generally do first is I'll hook up the anchor, and the reason I do that is just in case this shifts off the shoreline, at least you've got a way to get the raft back. So on this new model you'll notice there's no rope cleats, which makes it easy to stack rafts. And then I'll hook this. This is also one of the products I have. It's a figure 9 from, again, Night Eyes. It has a carabiner built in and a rope cleat. So there's no reason to put rope cleats on the raft itself any longer. It gets rid of some hardware, makes it easier to stack the rafts. So I clip that onto the safety line, and if I want to reduce the slack in this again, you use the carabiner that's actually on the figure 9. And it tells you how to do it on here. You just basically wrap this line on there. And I generally leave some slack so that the tension doesn't pull the anchor off the line or off the deck, off the shore, and into the water where it could still float. Alright, so next is the motor mount. Take this motor mount towards the back of the raft, set it on the raft, latch it to the safety line.
Is that just an extra safety feature for the mount?
Yeah, it just holds it in place just in case for some reason. I don't know. Eventually I'm going to put the motor and the battery on there, so it's not going anywhere, but just so it feels connected. I then take a battery. I prefer my battery right about here, which allows me to take a 5-gallon bucket and put it up on the motor mount itself. And I have this one rigged where there's like a safety line around the base of the bucket, and I have a whole video on how to make that if you prefer to have the safety clasps or carabiners towards the bottom of your bucket. There's 2 on either side. I latch those to the safety line as well. That way your bucket stays with you if you ever have any rough waters or something like that as well. The other option is to take this handle and create a leash from your safety line to the handle. So again, just so you can keep track of your gear. And again, you can see this battery holds the motor mount down. So when you put your motor on there, you have some resistance to the leverage action of the motor itself. So here I am. I'm already like 75% set up. Just need my fishing poles, motor, and go fishing.
But technically you are set up though, right?
Yeah, I don't have to inflate it, unfold it, assemble it, nothing. It's ready to go.
Just grab your fishing poles and paddle out, right?
Get your stuff and go.
Awesome.
Right, so you can see I worked my way loose, and again, that's why I always put my anchor up first, just in case I need to drag myself back. And this is much easier than a kayak or canoe, because you can just hit the shoreline and walk right off of it. You don't have to worry about rotating and flipping off of this thing. So it creates its own little dock system basically where you can walk on and off of this thing relatively easily. I'll give you a couple more tips on that in a second too, on how I launch. If you don't want to get your feet wet, you don't have to worry about it on this thing. You can walk on and off of it just like a ramp basically. Alright, so this is it, 3 trips and I'm done. If you really want, you can get away with it in 2 trips, but I prefer not to rush it. Make it comfortable for myself. And again, if I'm going to jump on this raft right now, I'd check the shoreline underneath, make sure that there's a flat area so I'm not pushing rocks into it, and then you can just step right onto it. It doesn't even have to be touching the shoreline, just make sure there's some ground underneath it and you can step right on it, no problem.
Can you load it on top of the rocks also?
You can load it on top of the rocks. I prefer not to, but that's your choice. At that point, it's just aesthetic. You may put a small dent in the raft because it is foam. The foam, however, will hold 25 pounds pressure per cubic inch before it starts denting. And once you dent it, it's not really coming back with the type of foam that I'm using, but it will not affect the functionality of the raft. All right, so this is a new feature here. We've put fishing pole holders right into the deck, which makes it really nice. You don't have to bring extra fishing pole holders like the older model. And of course, I've got these all tangled up right now, but let me fix that. All right. So to save some deck space, again, you can put your poles right there in the holders, just to hold them for you currently, and then hook up the motor mount. So
how many rod holders are there on the deck? 4?
There's 4 on this one. You can see each one's being used currently. So here's how I do this one. I just throw it over the side, throw it over the back. Make sure it's opened up wide enough. You want to make sure these are nice and tight. I've heard of people having these vibrate loose. I've never heard of anyone doing it on a raft, but I've heard of it happening before. So make sure that's nice and tight on there. Obviously get your positive and negatives hooked up correctly too. I put wing nuts on here just to make it a little easier to tighten without a tool. And you can put the motor back down into the water at this point. Oops. Oh, here's something, a tip that I get this often. You see this part that rotates or that adjusts the height of the motor? Sometimes that gets in the way of this depressor and it doesn't allow you to loosen it like I was just doing. So move that out of the way, depress this, and let it go down into the water at whatever depth that you prefer it at. A safety feature that I used to do, it's not really necessary, but I don't know, it gives me peace of mind, is sometimes I'll take the anchor line, whoops, get that backwards. Sometimes I'll take this anchor line and I'll hook it through the handle and behind the carabiner that the bucket's on. Just in case, I don't know, say your battery goes in the water for some reason. Well, the water's not going to hurt it. You can then use the anchor line to just lift it back up on there. At this point, I'm done. I'm ready to go fishing. I've got all my gear, got my tackle inside the bucket, fishing poles, battery, life jacket. Bring your life jacket. You never know. Wear it if you're a minor. You have to wear it. It's the law. If you're not a minor, some states will let you have it on there. It has to be a wearable jacket, but you don't have to wear it all the time. Your choice. Again, though, be safe, and I recommend you wear it. I'm ready to go fishing. All right, so actually, since we're still running, one of the tips here was getting off the shore. You saw that all I had to do was scoot forward a couple inches and the weight came off the deck, or came off the shoreline. And here I am free floating already, real simple. This one's a pretty steep bank, so I didn't have to do any finagling. Sometimes you have to walk further back to the deck and shove off with the paddle, but this is a nice steep bank and easy to get off of. All right, so on the motor here, I have an extended handle, a 40-pound thrust trolling motor. This is what I prefer. I recommend not going over 55-pound thrust, just because it's a battery drainer, and speed number 1 on this one is already a lot of times too fast for me to do what I like doing. Is I like to fish the banks. So a lot of times I'll actually use reverse because it's slower and I can work the bank much slower. When you are using the motor here, it's important that you don't turn too fast. Like, you can see some water comes over the deck. Not a big deal, but if you had a stronger motor and let's say your weight is shifted over, I mean, it could catch that corner and create some kind of a tipping problem. But I haven't had it happen, but I'm just letting you know that that could happen if you turn really sharp. Say it again, Mac. Oh. Got it. All right, I'm gonna switch camera. I'm gonna switch a camera up to the. Oh, here's another thing. I'm in full blast right now. I'm on 5 on my motor. It's designed so that most of the weight is towards the back here, so that the nose is up, right? You want that nose up so that when you're going, the water's not coming up onto the deck. So if you have a lot of weight on here, though, you can see that some water can start to get up on the deck. Don't freak out. You're not going to sink or anything like that. This thing's solid foam. But one solution to that is obviously move a lot of your gear back towards the back, or slow down, right? I'm on 2 right now. I've slowed down, and now I can get I'm about 14 inches from the front of the deck here. And again, you can safely stand on this thing and cast all you want all day long, right? Just make sure you're not going like a million miles an hour with the nose down in the water. All right, I'm gonna speed it up here though. My buddy, I'm gonna put this video in here. My buddy came out here today and literally threw his raft on the water, which he didn't realize it was a steep bank and he couldn't go retrieve his raft, and then he let it float off into the water. Didn't want to get all soaking wet here. So I'm gonna go get his raft here. Cracks me up. Oh, here's a cool feature too. Again, I've got it right now. I've got this thing in full blast, and notice here's one hand, here's the other hand. My paddle's on the deck. I can steer this like a skateboard. So if I want to lean to one side, you can see it starts to turn. So I'm steering it kind of like a skateboard, right? If I want to go back to the left, move some of my weight to the left, and there it goes. Steers like a skateboard. You can hands-free steer this thing, and I do that a lot. When I'm fishing, I don't like to touch the trolling motor, so I usually have it on 1, and I'll just steer with my weight. So here I am on 1 again, coming up on my buddy's raft. This is a little bit older version. He's had this one for about 3 years and been beating it up. He's a good tester. He, oops, put that in reverse. Come up on the side here, and I'm gonna grab his raft for him. Again, he just threw it in the water. So you can see this older version has cleats on it, which creates somewhat of a problem when you're trying to stack these rafts. So we've got rid of the cleats, and I also got rid of the hardware on the deck. You can see it kind of gets tore up after a while, and instead we went with through holes right through the raft and a recessed portion here. So if you're stepping on this line tightener, it's out of your way. I don't even feel it under that. There's a recess down there that holds that line tightener. Otherwise, we had these older school ones that have it's a line tightener for like a clothesline, but they're hard to take off completely, and you oftentimes will step on it. Sorry, let me move this. Oh, that'll work. So oftentimes you step on that and you feel like you're gonna trip or something. I mean, you're not gonna trip, but it just feels funny. So I end up removing that from the raft, make it a little easier on you. All right, so I'm gonna latch this around here. Hopefully I don't lose this one. And I'm gonna tow this one back to my buddy, and then we'll do some fishing today. So while I'm cruising back here with his raft, it dawned on me that I've been asked this question before. How fast does the raft go? Well, I have, geez, a good 200, probably 80 pounds of weight on here. Probably I'm just gonna, let's say 300 pounds on here. With 300 pounds of weight on the raft and a 40-pound thrust trolling motor, I can go about 3 miles an hour on average. I'm also towing a raft right now, so if it doesn't look that fast, it's because I'm towing another raft. But again, I can do 3 miles an hour with a 40-pound thrust trolling motor and 300 pounds of weight.